of the biggest concerns for families going into hurricane season is how to keep children safe, calm, and feeling protected. The trauma of last year's back-to-back hurricanes has left a lasting mark on both adults and kids. Stephanie Koszalka is the manager of clinical services at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. For the past 10 years, she's worked with survivors of trauma, and she joins us today with tips on how to take care of the youngest members of the family during this very difficult time. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming in.
And thank you so much for having me today. That's definitely an area that I'm really passionate about, is supporting the mental health of our youth of today.
The preparation for hurricane season this year is very different because of the experiences from last season. Give us an idea of how we can best prepare for that. Absolutely.
I really think that just as all of us in our own way are experiencing and remembering what happened last year, and all based on our experiences, that also the kids are remembering how that impacted them too. And this could be disruptions in their normal routine. One was school being out. This could mean evacuating, moving, and also the stress and strain that put on their parents or caregivers and their families as well. And I also think it's going to definitely impact kids who didn't directly feel the effects of the hurricane. They may have had friends who were impacted. Yes. They might have heard from people at school or know neighbors or others in the community and be worried that that's also potentially going to happen this year.
So let's do a breakdown for the younger children, for the viewer at home who either has younger children at home or knows someone who does. What are the warning signs that they should look at, and what are ways to mitigate that?
Absolutely. So I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is, a parent or caregiver, you know your child best, right? You're the expert on your child and their typical day-to-day behaviors and interactions and thoughts and feelings. So the most notable thing with young children and teenagers is any changes in behavior that are out of the ordinary. But there's definitely some warning signs that I can give you specific for young children and teens. For young children, you might see more fidgeting or anxious kind of behaviors, having difficulty sitting still, possibly having to repeat directives more frequently. They may also feel like they're seeking additional and extra reassurance more than typical, or seeking you out, perhaps needing to make sure you're still in the room. For teenagers, can frequently look like irritability or angry outbursts, and that might be because they're feeling stress and not having difficulties with recognizing and identifying that they're feeling stress.
Give us some tips to mitigate these situations. Should we not be watching the television in front of the children? What if they have questions? How do we answer those questions about whether or not we're going to be okay? Is this happening again? What's the best advice that you have for mitigating those situations?
So I think it's impossible for them not to be aware it's happening, because the first sign of a hurricane coming, well, other than the news, of course, is the school closures, right? So the kids and teens are going to be aware on the front end. So I think it can be important to name and be able to have a conversation with them. For young children, this is still possible, and asking them, hey, are you scared? How are you feeling about, this being a hurricane, or this being hurricane season, and also really involving them on the process. Because I think in terms of hurricane prep, if they feel like they can be a part of it and know and see that their family is going to have a plan and they're included on that process and playing a role, that can help a lot too. They feel like they're productive in doing something, and also that reassurance that whatever happens, the parents are doing everything they can. We're going to do everything we can to stay safe, and here's the steps that we're going to take to try to make that possible.
And that sounds like good advice for all children, whether they're young children or in their preteens or teenagers.
Absolutely. And I think with young children, in my experiences, young children definitely will be more engaged with different tasks like that if you make a game out of it. So let's have a hurricane prep day. Maybe this could look like a scavenger hunt of the items in the house, or maybe this could look like running fake drills of, okay, well, you know, Tommy's going to get this, you know, Billy's going to go get this, and we're going to meet back here in the middle, and kind of making them feel prepared, but also doing it in kind of a game way fairly early on in the season, and then being able to kind of remind them throughout as potentially the news comes with these forecasts of tropical storms and hurricanes. Remember, we're prepared, and kind of, you know, repeating that so they have that.